I am going to ask for a little bit of your input today, not like talking or anything like that, but I want you guys to actually really think, into what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be touching a little bit on like vision casting, and then I'm pretty much just going to go into sales. Like, I'm not doing like a sales training or anything like that, but I want to talk about a little bit about training, a little bit how you can maybe see what you might be missing, what you're doing incorrectly, what you might be, just not doing in a way that you're finding you're getting results, like that sort of thing. So I just want to touch on that. I actually have 4 entire pages of notes that I took. So we'll see how I go. So I want to quickly jump on because every month is different. Some days, some weeks, some months we're going to be really good. Some months we're going to feel a little bit of a lull. It is really dependent on a few different things. It can be, people, it can be our attitudes, it can be what we're going through during the month. It can be, what we're going through personally, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're being too hard on ourselves, like all that sort of thing. Shannon's smiling at me because we had a conversation yesterday. And, we're going to have like these sorts of months. So I know it's almost like a hot word to be like, okay, go back to your why, go back to your why, go back to your why. But do any of us actually do it? Like, any of us, it's easy for us to be like, oh yeah, I really want this business because like, I really need the money and our whys change, right? So I want us to just kind of like, I'm going to prompt you guys just for like a couple of questions. And right now where you're at, not where you were when you started the business or anything like that, I want you to either write down or answer to yourself in your head or in your notes or anything like that about what you wanted. And I'm going to kind of share mine as well as like that as we go on. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is pretty basic. Why do you want this business? So there are a couple of questions that I'm going to delve into, but why do you want this business? Is it because you want the financial freedom? Now, you have to be really honest with yourself here as well, because, that's why we're going through this, Shannon. That's why we're talking about the why, because like we get so caught up in all the other stuff. We get caught up in the recognition boards. We get caught up in comparing ourselves to other people. We get caught up in, well, I had a $300 week last week and now I got like $20. We get caught up in all these little things. And when the base of this business isn't because we want to be network marketers, it's because we want something deeper. So why do you want this business? Is it for the community? What's keeping you here? Is it the fact that you can see this business providing you an income long term? Is it because you now want this business because you've jumped in and your ego doesn't want to give up? Are you only here because you're like, well, I'm so disconnected from my why, but I don't want to give up because I don't want other people to think that I've failed? Like, why do you actually want this business? For me personally, I want this business because, number one, I want to prove to myself that I can do something really hard. I also want to prove to, like, this is me being really honest, I want to prove to my family that I can succeed at something. I want to, one of the biggest things that I've actually kind of thought about this week as well has been why I actually want to build this business to a place where I'm earning money every week and I am not actually having to kind of do these everyday nitty-gritty stuff in 5 years. First 5 years of my life are probably going to be like a little bit repetitive and tiresome and things like that. But I actually want this business to be able to give me the freedom to go on a holiday with my family and not actually have to worry about being on my phone 24/7, and being able to not work as well, like my other job. A lot of people presume that I don't work another job, but I do, and I absolutely cannot stand it at the moment, just because where my passion is with you guys and with my VIPs and doing this business. It's not like posting every day on Instagram. That's not my why. It's because I want this to become a business, like a self-sufficient business, and I know that that's what this business can turn into. So the next one I want to ask you is different but sounds the same. What is your vision? So why do you want this business? And then what is your vision? My vision is I am living overseas with my husband. My kids are taken care of. We can go on holidays as a family. I don't have to stress about the money in my bank account. Now, all of these questions as well, keep in the back of your mind, are going to come from your belief in this business. It's going to come from where you see this business leading you, where you see what this business can actually give you. So all of this will be rooted in that. So who does your vision involve? Now, it's easy for us to go, what is my vision? It's for me, it's for this. Who does your vision involve? Is it just your family? Is it your mum? Is it your friend or your cousin that might have an illness that you want to help? Does this vision involve like strangers that maybe your heart, like one of my big things is I am sometimes too generous of a person, and much to my husband's dismay. And I genuinely love like giving. So one of my things is my vision is people that I can bless. I don't know these people yet. I want to have enough money that I can actually bless people and strangers that I don't even know yet, you know, or friends that might need help and things like that. Oh, I just got full body goosebumps. That's weird. How can you make this happen? Now, that's what I'm talking about when it comes back to your belief in this business. How can you make this happen? How can you make your vision, who it involves, why you want this business? How can you make this happen? Is that something like, okay, maybe I need to be a little bit more intentional about the time that my free time that I have? Maybe I need to put a little bit more of that time aside to work on my business. How can I make this happen? Does that mean that you might need to do a little bit more personal growth stuff? Does that mean that you might enroll yourself in a course of some sort? How can you make this vision and the people in it happen? Now, I can't tell you guys what that is because I don't know your habits. I don't know what you do. I don't know what lights you up. You know, something for me, how can you make this happen? For me, I know that a big part of my business is me feeling not stressed, feeling happy, all that sort of thing. So for me, how can you make this happen? That is creating more time for myself, creating more time for things that light me up. But then also, how can I make this happen? For me, I know that I have to stop little things, like I've got to stop bloody scrolling on my phone and put that time into, I should be working on my boards, or I should be working on my posts, or I should be working on reaching out to people. Or how can I make this happen? I need to be a little bit more confident and talk to people outside of Instagram, you know? And then the last one is, where do you see yourself? So what your vision is and where you see yourself are kind of the same, but a little bit different. Where do you see yourself? Your vision involves other people, but where do you see you? Do you see yourself as MM? Do you see yourself driving your Range Rover? Do you see yourself at home with your kids, baking every day, jumping on a team call, you know, once every couple of days and tending to your veggie garden. Like, where do you see yourself? For me, I'm quite like a big dreamer. I see myself as wanting to be a millionaire in this business. And I know I'll make it happen because I know all the answers to those questions. And my belief in this business is very, very, very strong. I have my days where I don't. I definitely have my days where I think network marketing isn't for me, and you know, I'm not a good salesperson, and I had a really bad month and all that sort of thing. Of course, I have those days and months and all that sort of thing. But my belief of where this business can take me and any of you is really, really strong. So where I see myself is really solidified. Like, I see myself doing trainings at Monations one day. I see myself driving my Range Rover to the beach with my son, going surfing, going camping. Like, that's where I see myself, but also being like a badass businesswoman as well. That's something that I know that I'm going to achieve. And all of those little things there help me get there. So it's really good to just come back to why, because when we first join up, there's all this excitement and there's all like, you know, all of you probably had a conversation with me, or most of you had a conversation with me about where you want to take this business, what your goals were, you know, why you wanted to do it. You wanted a little bit of extra money. And look, guys, if it says here, why do you want this business? And you put, I need $100 extra a week or $50 extra a week, then that's good enough. That's your goal. It doesn't have to be the same as everyone else. It doesn't have to be, you know, this grand idea. It has to be something that is, you know, like really important to you. $100, I don't know what that means for you. For me, I know that that helps, you know, helping out my family with groceries and all that sort of thing, which is really important to me. So, you know, like, all of those prompts are going to continuously remind you of why you're here and why you're doing this. And sometimes, like, I know I have brought it up before, and Levi's not on this call, but when Levi started with me, and I remember it so well because it was such like I'd been hearing all these things of like, your why should be so important to you. Your why should actually bring you to tears. And it was the first time where I jumped on a call with Levi and I said, I want to know why. I want to know why you're doing this. And she was like, I can't talk about it. It's going to make me cry. And I was like, that's why I want to hear it. Like, that's why I want to know. And she was like, I want to do this for my family. I want to do this for my sister. I want to be able to provide things for her that she's not able to provide because she, you know, has had a really hard life. And she started crying when she told me. And I was like, that right there is what's going to keep getting you through. Like, your family, like what you do and the people that you love, because we're not only just doing this for ourselves, because every single one of you, if you were just doing this for yourselves, you wouldn't still be here. Like, you wouldn't be, you would have given up after a couple of weeks, like a lot of people do, you know. So you guys are the small percentage of people that actually have something that is really connected to a deep root reason of why you're doing this, and you're not giving up on it. So rather than the money, think of what that money provides and then get really deep into what this means to you. And sometimes I'm very like, I swear I'm a little bit ADHD, but my brain just goes constantly and I forget to feel into things. So sometimes I actually have to sit there and feel like, okay, if I did have this dream, the reason why I'm doing this, and I think about the people that I love, and I think about being able to like take them somewhere or being able to travel with them and what that means to me, because I was never able to do that as a child or whatever. I have to actually really feel into that and be like, you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm going to rest, but I'm not going to give up on this, because this, like, we have seen it. This business can actually provide so much for us, whether that be personal growth, community, the money, all that sort of thing. It creates for all of us so much more choice and freedom. Like, we all, like, don't ever say financial freedom online, but like, it creates freedom for us because, like, look at people like Krista Pani, for example. I look at her, she's been in the business for 7 or 8 years now. Literally, she spends every day with her family, like her kids, and not just like, oh, I have to spend all day with them. She like takes them out jet skiing and boating. And like the other day, she came home, she's like, oh my gosh, like my husband just went out and like came home with a boat. And I'm like, imagine just having that much like freedom and time and money. She's not a celebrity. She's not anyone different to you or I. She's just kept going and being consistent for the last 7 years. And now she's at a position where it's rolling over. Like, how many of us would actually just be able like to just sit back and go, you know what, I don't feel like doing any work today, but your PV goes up and your GV goes up and you're still getting paid every single month. Like Julie, not Julie Andrews. I'm pretty sure that's the lady from Sound of Music. Julie, in our business, she literally signed up one VIP last year, and she made it into the $15 million club. Like, can you imagine not actually doing that much and earning $15 million? Like, that's why like I do talk about it a lot, the belief, and I spoke a lot about this at Reunion, is you actually have to believe in this business. You actually have to believe that you can do this business and that you are the person that's it. Where do you see yourself? Who is that woman? Do you see her as you? Do you see her, or is she this distant like person that you hope that one day you can achieve? Like, you need to connect that person to you, and you need to be like, do I see myself as her? When I first started this, I didn't. I was very much like, okay, maybe I'm just like trying to dream of like who I want to be like it's looking at a celebrity and being like, oh, I wish I could be like them. But now that I have consistently put into my business and done personal work and done all this stuff, I'm like, no, I know that I'm that woman. I just got to keep going. I just got to keep grinding. I got to keep learning and evolving. I'm not that woman right now. I could never be that woman right now, but I know I'm on my journey there. I know I'm on my way there. So anyway, that's why I wanted to go over that stuff, because it's really good to ground back in and connect to why we're doing this when things feel really hard. Sit with that feeling and sit with why you want to do this, and then talk about it. You need to talk about it. You need to talk about your why, because other people feel the exact same way as you do. People feel the exact same way as what you're feeling, in terms of like, we're all women, we are all mums, we all have someone or something in our life that we care more about more than us. So we can, even just that in itself relates to so many people, you know? So talk about your why, talk about like, I mean, don't show up and, you know, be a blubbering mess online, but people need to feel your emotion. Like, people need to feel, this isn't just like, yes, we're in sales, and I'm going to talk more about this after, but we're in the business of people. And so you're not going to rock up and be like, okay, the reason that I wanted to do this business is because, and you've got your little dot points and stuff. Actually be a human. Be a human that people can connect with, share your vision, share why you wanted to do this. And I know that feels really weird, because if you're like a private person, it can feel really weird to like share those parts of you. And it can feel really weird to share your heart with people. But number one, this is something that I think me and Lily actually touched on in one of our first calls, I think, or it might have been someone else. I talked about,
no, you're right.
Yeah, I was like, why are you a private person? You know, like, what are you afraid of hiding from people? And that in itself is like some deep work. That in itself is like something, if you are feeling like that, like, please contact me. Let's unpack it. Let's talk about that, because number one, like we are relational human beings. Like people want to be connected with us. Our purpose is to connect with people. We are human. We're not meant to shy away from other people. And so when people can feel, we're just lucky that this is a part of our business. Like I know for me, I'm not a private person whatsoever in the slightest part, but for me, being vulnerable as well has been a bit of a process and things like that. And, I didn't want to share to begin with. I didn't want to share that my husband took a job that, didn't pay as much and all that sort of thing. Cause I was a bit like, oh, like, maybe his ego or maybe my ego is a little bit too like, oh, well, we need the money. What are you trying to prove to people? Like who are you, what are you proving to anyone? By saying like, yeah, I'm the same as you, need more money. Like we got to stop being so worried about like our image and what people think of us, because at the end of the day, you want people to relate to you, not just for business, but for like in general. Can you imagine if you like sat down with some of your friends and just went like, hey, like we're kind of struggling here. Like we've got this and got that, and someone to go, oh my God, I feel like I can talk to you about that because that's what I've been going through too. And I just feel like I've got no one to talk to or no one really understands what I'm going through. Like that's something that we have to kind of share about in this business in terms of like what we want, who do we see ourselves? And it also comes back into the terms of like, for me, I know for a fact that when I get on my stories and I'm like, I want to be a millionaire one day. I know that there are people, like even people in my family that are sitting there being like, Lydia seriously thinks she's going to be a millionaire. Is she kidding herself? I don't care. I don't care what those other people think of me. I used to care, totally. But now I'm like, you know what's stopping me from dreaming as big as I want? There is literally nothing. The only thing that makes you stop believing of how far you can go in any way, shape, or form in your life, in your relationships, and anything, in finances, is what you believe of yourself. But usually what you believe of yourself has come from other people. It's come from something a little bit deeper, something in your childhood, something that someone has spoken over you, anything like that. So all you need to do is just lift that lid and just be like, you know what? I can do whatever I want to. I can do whatever I put my mind to. Who is going to stop me? What, somebody else's belief of me? Somebody else's opinion of me? My family's opinion of me? No. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just not, we can't live our life like that. We can't live our life wondering what other people are going to think. It comes back to the privacy thing. It comes back to like all of that stuff. Like share those things. Share like where your heart is. Share who you see yourself as. Because at the end of the day, if there are people laughing at you, like it really doesn't matter. There's always going to be people disagreeing with what you do at the end of the day. You could be freaking like, I don't know, selling yachts. You could be like something completely random and there's someone going to be like, oh, I can't believe she's doing that. It's just that network marketing has such a bad rap around it that we think that we take on what other people think and we're like, oh yeah, I am doing like that network marketing thing. It's just because it's got a bad rap around it. It's actually got nothing to do with the business, with the model, with anything like that. It's just because people have a preconceived notion about what we do. So anyway, that went way too far into what I was going to go on about. I just get like super passionate talking about this stuff. And I actually love really delving into this stuff with you individually. So if you're wanting to do that, I know like I'm all over the shop sometimes, but please just try and like get a hold of me. Let's book in something and let's like work under some of that stuff, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's going to be holding you back. It's the only thing that's going to stop you from fully living into like the woman that you are meant to be and God called you to be and that you are evolving into, because you got to work on some of that stuff. Just sign up as a VIP. Yeah, psych. Now you're getting all this like personal development stuff. Okay, cool. So anyway, I'm going to try and fit this into 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about sales, a little bit about, like I said, what we could be doing differently. You know, because at the end of the day, like, yes, our business is sales. We are network marketing, we are marketers, we are networkers, we are social sellers, we do affiliate marketing. Like, that in itself is all wrapped up. We do have sales as part of our thing. I was listening to a really, really good interview with Daniel G and this other guy. Can't remember his name, but he's a billionaire and does all this sales training and stuff like that. So, you know what I'm like, I'm just going to like go off what my notes are because I'm really bad at like flowing, making everything flow. So we're going to do our best. So anyway, what we base everything on in this business is how much we care about who we are serving. So we are a service-based business. We are meant to, if you are in this business and you couldn't give two shits about people, then you will not make it in this business. I literally had a girl message me the other day and said, do I have to talk to people? I hate people. And I was like, no, sis, this is not for you then. Also really sad that you hate people. Who have you been hurt by? But I'm just like, no, this business is probably not for you. And that's fine. Some people are not. Like, I have had influencers talk to me and be like, I can't believe that I have to actually talk this much to people. I don't like it. And I'm like, okay, well, this business is not for you. You know, like, stand behind a camera and make some money without talking to people. I don't know. Like, anyway, so this one thing, if you care more about the customer than they care about themselves, in the long run, you'll be able to convince them to buy from you because you are actually putting their needs first. So if you can actually come into someone and say, you're talking to someone and they tell you their needs, say it's a VIP, and they're like, my scalp is itchy, my things are this and that, and you know, whatever. If you genuinely care about people, which all of you do, and you show that person that you are so interested in their needs and what their pain points are, why they're actually coming to you, if you show them that you actually care about them more than they care about themselves, in the long run, you are going to, one, make a reputation for yourself for actually being like an amazing person to buy from, two, a really beautiful human, and three, they're going to feel like they trust you because you're going to be taking care of them. You've already listened to their needs, that sort of stuff. So you will always be able to convince them to buy from you because they are going to feel like close to you. They're going to feel like you care about me, that sort of thing. So you want to always as well make sure that while we think about, and it's easy for us to think about our VIPs and our market partners as a sale. Our market partner, you know, we get a $50 to $200 like product pack bonus, and we just want to get that one VIP or two VIPs to tick off, you know, our neighborhood, that sort of thing. We ultimately want this person, whoever we're talking to make a decision. They are not a sale to us. We want them to have the autonomy to make a decision. But what is based under that is obviously so much more. It's the value, it's the conversation, it's everything that we have provided to them and given to them, whether it be a market partner or a VIP. You can't think of it as a sale. You can't think of this person as a number. And I always talk about this in terms of like, you can't just be like, I've got to get that person. I've got to get that person. I got to get a new market partner. You got to think of, how can I serve? How can I serve this person? How can I get them to make a decision? And like, at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, they're going to, if you have built all that stuff, that foundational stuff, you're going to be able to, they're going to eventually buy from you because you've created the value, you've done all this sort of stuff, but you're not thinking of them as a number. And you will find that in this business, people who do get the big numbers at the start usually fall off a little bit, or they'll just completely quit the business in general, because the people who are like their upline or whoever they've bought from or whatever, if they can feel that, they're a number. this person isn't a sale. You want them to actually come to you and make a decision. Now, some people will make the decision not to, depending on the interaction and the value and all that sort of thing. So, but at the end of the day, you're like, okay, if they have taken everything that I have given them, the conversation that we've had, the way that we've connected, and they have decided that no, this is not for them, then that's fine. That is decision. You want to come to a decision at the end of the day, not a sale. So when we're talking about, I'm kind of like going all over the shop here, ghosting. This is something that obviously we all go through. I'm going to get a lot of. Anyone in sales, every single person in sales gets this. Every single person who's in network marketing, every single person who is in door-to-door sales, like whatever it is, they get ghosted. So number one, don't take it personally. I always say this, do not take it personally. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got to with you as a person. It's either got the fact that we haven't built enough value around the products or the business, or we haven't given them enough information. But don't take it personally. And it's really easy to do when you first get in the business, because you will have, because we're speaking to people. If you're not consistently talking to people, then that's why your business is not growing. But a lot of those people are going to say no. A lot of those people are going to say, sorry, not for me. Especially if you're new in the business as well. People haven't gotten enough value. People haven't got enough information, all that sort of thing. Or you're just not talking about it enough, which for the most case is a lot of us. We don't talk about it enough. We are not showing up on our stories enough. We are not posting enough. You are not being consistent enough. At the end of the day, that's as simple as it is. If your business is not growing, you are not doing enough in your personal business. Can I say something about last point, please? Not sure how to write it out. Yeah, go for it, babe.
Hiya, darling. It was just saying what you were saying last time, because I had it with you when we first started.
Yeah.
I had like loads of stuff going on personally, and I said, oh, I really want to start, but I don't know how to kind of work it all in with work and personal life. And you were just like, you've got to do it when's good for you. So you never said no, like this business isn't for you, but you kind of said maybe it's not your time right now. So it didn't kind of like cut the business off completely, and it kind of proved, sorry, I'm walking up a hill if I'm out of breath, but it kind of proved that you actually cared about like my situation, what I was going through, and that, yeah, it's great for you, but you've got to do it when the time's right. So you weren't kind of saying no. But it kind of proves that, yeah, you cared about my situation.
Yeah, you'll be here eventually. I'm not saying, yeah, that, and thank you for sharing that, babe, because sometimes I forget that stuff. But yeah, it is, and that's what comes from the conversation. We're speaking to human beings. We're not talking to a little box that we need to check. We are talking to people. We are relational people. So in terms of like your conversations and stuff like that, talk to them how you would your mum. Talk to them how you would your best, well, in my case, maybe not my mum, but talk to them how you would your friend, like it just take a deep breath and just relax, and don't think I've got to get this person. If you are integral about the way that you run your business, you are going to have, if that person, if it's taking too long, that might not be for right now, but it may be future because that work that you're doing right now and just taking the foot off the pedal just for now to like let them feel into it and that sort of thing. Like, yes, we have to have urgency in our business in a couple of different ways, but it means that that person, just like Jade, is going to feel like, okay, I feel seen, I feel heard. It's not for me right now, but someone is going to come into your sphere, because if you are being integral about who you are in your business and you're caring, that's going to come across to everyone else. And then you're going to find someone drops into your inbox and goes, hey, I've been seeing the way that you do this. Really love what you're doing. I would love to, I would love to do it. That sort of thing. So always come back to being curious about the person, being curious about, hey, why did you actually, jump into my inbox? Why did you like the comment or my photo? Why did you, don't obviously ask that question, but be curious about the people that you are talking to. Like, curiosity is always going to lead to a place where you're going to grow, you're going to learn more, but you're also going to build a lot more trust with people because they actually, you know, feel like that you want to know them. Tonality matters. So your tone matters. If any one of you know me, you know that I'm a big voice note person, and I talk to you the same way I am talking to the people that are on that I'm prospecting. These are because at the end of the day, they're gonna be sitting on a call here with me, and they're going to be hearing, you know, you don't want to be a different person on who you are. It's really easy to be like, okay, doing a sales job, I've got to sound really professional, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Joke around, like, yell at your kids, like if they're being annoying in the background, like literally be yourself. But your tone matters in terms of, like, if you're coming on and being like, you know, hey lovely, I just wanted to let you know, Monat is a like low tox, high performing, blah 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 blah, and you start rattling off all these things, you start to sound like a robot. Your tone is like, oh, like the difference between that and, hey babe, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I was meant to get back to you this morning, kids have been crazy. And honestly, I do this all the time. I'm like, what was I just talking about? Completely forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. Anyway, you gotta like keep it lighthearted, keep it joking, keep it like you would be talking to your best friend. If you are having a shit day, don't jump on voice notes, because you can tonality matters. Don't jump in there when you're feeling like completely flat. And people can feel that too. When you're like, say if you've just had like a really bad month, or like you're just feeling not great, don't let that come out in what you're saying, because we are sales. We are meant to be like, if any of you guys have seen Daniel G, like he is like literally, he's got ADHD, but he's always just, no matter what, he's got energy, he's excited about anything that he does. That's how you want to be, which again comes back to your belief in this business. Do you believe in these products? Do you believe in this business? How is that translating in what you say? The people that are in my inbox know that I love these products. When I'm talking about them, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you the Rejuva Beads. It's actually like my favorite product because it's healed my split ends. It's this and that. You can tell that I actually use it and I love it and I'm excited about it. It's not, and look, when I was first starting and I was trying to read all the things about the product, I had my sticky notes up while I was sending a voice note, just so I could remember all the things that I was saying. But I was still passionate. They could still hear that I was excited, because I was actually obsessed with this business when I started. I was obsessed with business. I was obsessed with the product. So even though I didn't know much about them, they could tell that I was absolutely in love with this business and I was excited to sign them up. So you've got to actually have that type of thing. And maybe you just need to like hype yourself up sometimes, or just like, I don't know, do a couple of star jobs or something. Anyway, so consistency. How many people are you talking to a week? How many people are you? This is like one big thing. And this is for like everything that I say, guys, I'm talking to myself in this. Like I am keeping myself accountable in this, because some of these things I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do that. I haven't been talking to people this week. My goal for me tomorrow is talk to 3 people in real life about Monat. I don't care where I am, how much I've got to do. I'm talking to 3 people about that. That's something that I'm holding myself accountable to. How many people are you talking to a week? If you are like, I'm just not, you know, making sales here, I can't sign up anyone. Let's have a look at your inbox. How many people are you talking to about this business? How many people are you talking to about the products? That is a really good way to sense where your business is at. If you're feeling dry, we have to have like a little bit of self-accountability sometimes and be like, okay, I'm not having enough conversation. If you are having enough conversations and it's not turning into sales, into someone joining your team, let's delve into that. Let's have a deep dive into what you're actually saying. I'm doing that with Celeste at the moment in just terms of like, hey, should I say this here? Or is this right? Or like any of you are free to like message me and be like, hey, something's just not clicking here. Let's like talk about that. It could be as simple as you're not asking them a question. You're just leaving it open. You know, it could be anything. So make sure that you are having enough conversations, because while it's well and good, and this is a big one for me, because it's easy for me to post a reel every day. It's easy for me to show up online and do a live. But when I actually look at my inbox or my messages, or I think about who I've been talking to out there, have I been talking to anyone about Monat today? Haven't talked to anyone about Monat. Not in real life. I talk to like 2 or 3 people online. But if I want to actually my business to be moving forward, I've got to talk about this business. And when I think about myself, I'm like, I actually am really passionate about this business. I absolutely love it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. Why am I not talking to people about it? Like, for me, I've actually made myself a promise now, and I did it for the first time the other day. Someone asked, "What are you doing these days?" Well, and I said, I'm selling shampoo on Instagram, actually. And he went, "Oh, cool," and was like super awkward. And I was like, "Yeah, it's been amazing, blah, blah." And he's like, "Actually, I've been watching you on Facebook. You look like super happy. Like, you look like," and I was like, "Yeah, tell your wife to, like, hit me up for some shampoo." And my heart was like beating out of my chest. I was like, I can't believe I just said that I sell shampoo online. But it was not as bad as what I thought it was. And it wasn't as bad as what I like expected. I expected to like vomit on him, but I didn't. And so I've just got to have more conversations. And literally, I talked about this on like at reunion. You've got to be having conversations, because we are in sales, we're in marketing, we're in networking. Like, we have to network, we have to talk to people. So anyway, and have real conversations. Be playful and childlike. Voice notes, tonality, always like that. Okay, this is something that I want to touch on. Don't be combative. Now, I know that that's like, okay, yeah, sure, we know that, but don't be combative in terms of, if someone, you don't have to convince, rather than trying to convince someone, ask them a question. Rather than trying to combat someone, ask them a question. It can feel really, when we get into this business, we're going to have family, friends, all that sort of thing that are going to be like, "Oh, it's a pyramid scheme," or "Oh, network marketing," or whatever. And it's really easy for us to get into like defense mode and be combative. But that's not our job. That's not our job at all. We can lovingly, kindly be like, "Hey, like, okay, so why do you think it's a pyramid scheme? What do you know about pyramid schemes? Do you know anything about network marketing? Have you been in network marketing before?" Like, keep it playful. Don't get into like this, because you're going to have more success being playful and that sort of thing with someone who wants to be combative with you, because number one, it's going to piss them off probably. But number two, you're just being curious. You're just being like, "Hey, I'm going to use this as research for me. I'm going to use this as like, okay, well, what do you think about this? Like, I want to actually use this interaction rather than actually hype myself up and be like combative about it." Because none of you other than Shannon probably know me before this. I'm not a confrontational person, but I love a challenge, and I love like being right. And I love that, which is something that I'm trying to let go of. And I am a very big believer in knowledge is power. So I educate myself a lot, so that when I come across like these sorts of things, I'm like, well, no, like, and so when I first got into this business, I was very combative. I was very much like, okay, I'm going to tell you everything about a pyramid scheme, and I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I wasted so much of my energy. Like, I literally wasted so much of my energy when I could have just been curious about what do you know about a pyramid scheme? Oh, actually, that's not something that I do. You're going to preserve your energy. Like, Eliza literally messaged me the other day and was like, "There's this Facebook post," and I was like, "Seen it, been there, done that, have written on all of these posts as well." I'm the person who's like, "You don't know what you're talking about," like all this sort of stuff. And I wasted so much of my energy, guys. Like, I was combative, and it's not who I want to be in this business either. Like, I don't want to actually have to convince people that what I'm doing is awesome and that I believe in myself. I actually am just like, I'm going to protect my energy, and I'm going to just educate, build value, be curious, ask questions, that's who I want to be in this business. I don't want to be someone who's like pushy and harsh and, you know, like all that sort of thing. That's not who I want to create myself as a leader or, you know, in this business. So, and I find like I was saying before, there's way more chance of you actually convincing them in terms of like asking them a question, because people fully choke up as well when you ask them a question. They're like, oh, I don't know what a pyramid scheme is. That's your opportunity to actually educate them. And so always putting a question back on people, like literally try and think of as many questions that you can ask back to someone when they come at you with something, or like, oh, I heard that stuff makes your hair fall out. Instead of being like, actually, sis, let me tell you, it's like, oh, where did you hear that? Oh, did you hear it on Facebook? Or did you hear that from like an online, you know, review place? And then go in with like, oh yeah, I felt that way. I actually saw that too, you know, and I was really concerned about it. Like, you're going to win people more doing that than like trying to come up against them and just like lock in your horns. It's never going to work, especially in sales and business and things like that. It just doesn't work. I kind of went into that. Having the frame of curiosity. If you didn't close, you don't know them well enough. So this is something that if you haven't, let's talk about a market partner. If you didn't close, like let's talk in like sales terms, if you didn't close that sale or close that prospect, if you didn't get that person into your team that you know you've been talking to or anything like that, you don't know them well enough, which comes back to being curious, which comes back to having conversations, which comes back to, you know, like actually being a real person, having tonality, speaking to them about it. You probably don't know enough about their hair or their pain points. If it's a VIP, you don't know enough about how their hair makes them feel. You probably don't know enough about why they want to start this business. You probably don't know enough about them as a human being. Like, are they going through postpartum hair loss? Have they just had like postnatal? You would be so surprised that when you actually take time to listen to people, what they want to tell you, like what people are going to give up and be like, you know, I have people all the time because, and this is something that I want to bring up, people feel comfortable telling me things because I show up online every single day. I'm consistent and I am myself and I'm real and authentic. I do it every day, whether it's in live, whether it's in stories, whether whatever, and I'm real and authentic. So when people are talking to me about their hair or anything like that, and I'm saying, hey babe, how are you? Tell me about your hair. Like, you know, like, oh, I can see that you've been interested. Or even when someone just fills out a quiz and they haven't talked to me, I'll drop in and be like, hey, lovely, I saw that you know, have a quiz. I would love to just know a little bit more about your hair. Hey, can you send me some photos? What are you currently really not loving about your hair at the moment? And then people are going to go in and be like, actually, I went through a really depressive episode. I lost a heap of hair. You know, like this happened. I've lost all my confidence, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is like my chance to be relatable and connect with this person. This person wants me to hear their story. So get to know the people that you're talking to well enough. We're not in a sales thing of like, okay, come here, let's close the deal, like let's do that. No, we are in network marketing, we are in people business, we are in service all the time. So always making sure that you are knowing that person. It is not I will never give you guys, you know, this is what to ask and then this is what to do and then this is what question to close. Like we're not in that type of business. You need to talk to these people how you would talk to your mum or your sister or someone else that you know. You've got to know these people. You want to understand people, and then serving them is a no-brainer. It's exactly what I just said, because when you know them, serving them is easy, because all of us have a heart for people. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. So and if you're on this call and you're like, I don't have time for people, then you probably don't like. Actually, I can't even say it because I know all of you, and all of you have such a heart for people. So anyway, now this is something that Daniel G said, and it relates to business. It relates to like a whole lot of different things. You were born to win and programmed to lose. You have everything that you need to win and be successful, but we are programmed to jump into the system and to just lose. So when you think about life, everything, when you think about the people that talk to you, when you think about, like, you know, Sally down the road or your uncle or whatever, who goes, why are you starting network marketing? Are you like bad at what you do now? Are you bored at home? Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you just for me, it was like, why don't you just go to uni? Like, jump into the system. We as society, we are programmed to lose. And when I say lose, I mean in terms of like, okay, we're signing up we're all here because we believe the same thing. We don't want to work to the 9 to 5. We don't believe the 9 to 5 is going to give us the life that we want. Spending no time with our family, like being in a heap of freaking HECS debt or like whatever it is, you know, like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we're all here because we want something more for ourselves. We want something, like, we want choice, we want freedom, we want abundance in our life. So winning for us isn't being a billionaire. Well, I mean, it would be, but in terms of like, we want to be with our family. We want to, like, yay. That's so good, Eliza. Like, it's being with our children. It's okay for me. It's not like it's being 24/7 with my child because it's too intense, but being able to, you know, send him to a school they want, pick him up every single day, have like all this abundance in my life. That for me is winning. Losing is, like, for me, getting to like 65, 70 years old and having like a really small like savings to retire with, and I have worked my ass off. Something, actually, I don't know if any of you watched Tiff Lowther's she did a speech at Reunion. It was incredibly heartbreaking and like inspiring and everything, but she was like, I want this business because I saw my mum work her damn ass off every day of her life. She got to like 70, she got really sick. We got to spend like a year or so with her, and then she passed away. And she had worked every day of her life because she got sold that that's what she had to do. She got sold that that's how we have to do life. And she's like, the Tiff was just like, no, like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. I am going to create abundance in my life. I don't want to be like my mum. And that's exactly what this is. You were born to win, programmed to lose. You have everything that you need to win, except we jump into the system and we are programmed to lose. So you have everything. You have literally everything that you need to win in every aspect of life. Do we have to do a little bit more work sometimes to, like, you know, bring those things up and really, like, you know, feel into those things that are our gifts? Then yes, totally. But that's what this business is. We have to evolve and grow as people. So anyway, I've got way too many notes here. I'm going to try and run through them because we're going to go a tiny bit over time. Okay, whatever happened last month, you had a bad week, bad month. You are the only one that knows that. Nobody knows and nobody else cares. If you are like, I just had the crappiest 2-3 months, no one else knows that except you. You are the only one in here. You are the only one in your head telling yourself, I had 2 bad months. I'm shit at this business. You are the only person that knows that, maybe your partner or whatever, but nobody else knows it. Nobody else thinks that. Like, nobody goes, oh, she only, like, people that are watching you on your Instagram and you're like turning up every day, like you have just signed up 10 new market partners. People have no idea that you only signed up 1 person last month. People have no freaking idea that you only have 2 VIPs. Keep showing up as like, okay, I'm doing this. This is my business. This is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about. And no one else understands. And like, at the end of the day, if you didn't hit MMP, like, I want all of you to get to that first rank and keep growing. But at the end of the day, if you're getting so down on yourself that you didn't hit that rank that month, you're the only one that knows that. Like, no one else cares about these ranks. you should have that standard for yourself, obviously, because you're like, I want to grow and evolve and hit my goals. But when you think about, oh, like I've been there too. I'm like, oh, I look like a loser. I like was doing so well last month and now I've only signed up, like guys, I've only signed up 3 people this month. It would be very easy for me to be like, oh my goodness, I'm bad at this business now. I've lost my touch. I like, you know, but no, I keep thinking, no, I'm just going to keep showing up. Sales is a reset game. It is literally a reset game. You just reset every day. You just reset every month. You just reset every week. Okay, I didn't make it that good last month. If you have a bad month the month before and you get in your head and you don't reset, you are the next month, you're going to go in with a bad mindset and a bad, you know, you're going to be like, oh, I suck at this. Like you literally, Daniel G said, you shit the bed one month and you get in your head and you're not going to perform well the next month. But if you have a great month last month, this is where like ego comes into it. If you have a great month last month, it's going to give you a massive ego for the next month. You'd be like, I'm going to kill it. You should have that. You should, you know, always be like really Shannon. I knew that you would feel into this because that was me. I had a huge ego when I started this business. I was like, I'm doing so well. I'm doing this. I'm going to do great next month. And then when I had a bad month, I got in my head and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible at this. You've got to play the reset game. Reset every day. What can I be doing? How can I show up? I'm a winner. I'm going to do this business. I'm going to make this work for me. I had a bad month. That's okay. I'm going to keep going. It is constantly resetting your mental frame. You can't take in what you did last month into this month. It's just reset. Literally, look at the wheel on our back office. It resets. That's what you're doing in your brain. Okay, starting again. Had a shit month last month. That's okay. I'm going to do well this month. Had an amazing month last month. I did so well. I'm going to do that again this month. But if I don't, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. So that's what that is. It's all inside of your own head. If you stay curious, you will hunt for the answer. That comes back to what we were talking about before. Being curious, hunting for the answer, making sure that you are finding the answer for that person. Oh, this is something that I want to talk about. When we're talking about like the whole, you know, bad month, good month, whatever, when you're in momentum, which I got in a really good momentum when I first started this business because I was obsessed. I went in guns blazing. I was like, I'm going to do this. When you lose momentum, it is 10 times harder to get it back. When you stop, think of it as like a freight train. Like you are going, you're putting into your business, you're showing up every day, you're doing all the things, you're following up, you're writing all these people, you're doing all this. Then all of a sudden, this freight train is going like, you know, I don't know how fast they go, 100 kilometers, 300 kilometers an hour. They're going. And then all of a sudden you come to like a really slow stop and you're like, oh, I've had a bad day. I'm not going to show up today. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to follow up. I'm not going to do it. I'm talking to myself too, guys. You come against this boulder. How much harder is it for that freight train to start moving again? Because you're pushing against this boulder and you're like, oh, the momentum is just not there. But if this train just keeps going, and that boulder's there, it's just going to pretty much smash straight through. It might be a little bit harder, but it's going to just keep going through. When you lose that momentum, it is so much harder to pick it back up. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I am speaking from personal experience because I did this. I was like, go, go, go. I just showed up every day. I was doing all the things. And then all of a sudden, I'm being really honest here. I got really in my head about someone else. I was comparing myself so badly to someone else and it fucked my business for like a good 1 or 2 months. And it really got in my head. I didn't show up as the leader that I wanted. I wasn't showing up online as I wanted. I didn't have like that zest about me. And it was 10 times harder to start that again, to keep moving past that. And figuring out as well, it's really important to figure out why you stopped. What made you stop? It's easy to be like, oh, I got to keep moving past and keep doing that. But what actually makes you stop momentum? Is it having a bad day? Is it your kids? Is it your bad mental health? Is it, you know, identify what it is that makes you lose momentum, and don't let that get in your way. You'll learn like pretty soon what it is. Don't let that stop you from continuously moving forward, because you'll do it once and then you'll be like, okay, I know what makes me do this. I'm going to keep my eyes on it and be like, okay, be very aware of it, and I'm not going to let it stop me again. Already done that. Okay, we're on our last page, guys. Only like 5 more minutes. Celeste is like ready to go to bed. And she's just cozy. Okay, so the 3 things is like how you want to do. Old habits, judging myself for not being where I want to be. That's, babe, I'm exactly the same. Like, I'm exactly the same. I judge myself so hard of being like, this is where, guys, I held MMB for 6 months. That was long. I don't know anyone else that was at MMB for 6 months. I know you guys like, oh, you're amazing. But me, I was like, I thought I would be MM by now. I thought I had such high expectations of myself, but I had to really grow in that process. I had to realize what actually made me lose momentum, which now I know it's comparison. When I see myself going towards that, I'm like, okay, cut it out, put my blinders on. I had to really grow in those 6 months as well. So you won't ever move forward in terms of like, you won't progress further than like where God has called you to be or anything like that. But you also won't grow because you're not ready for that leadership yet. You have to grow in that leadership. And that was for me. I had to grow. Guys, I had to learn some discernment. I had to learn some leadership skills. I had to learn like a whole lot of stuff in that 6 months before I was ready to like level up, you know, and it gave me a bit more grit. So don't think, it's really good to have standards for yourself, but don't go so far past it that you are putting yourself down negatively. Like, identify those thought patterns and like get in the road of yourself. Okay, set a goal, get into action, do that action a number of times until you get into momentum. Daily habits, showing up on live every day, doing like showing your face every day, whatever that is. Set yourself a goal, put it into action, continuously do that action until it turns into momentum. That's all you have to do. It's as simple as that. It really is. You just continuously set yourself a goal and keep doing the thing that you know that's going to get you to that goal. And that's your momentum. And then you get to a point where continuously you're doing that momentum and your business starts to eventually become stress-free. I'm not there yet. My business is very stressful. But you're going to get to a place where if things feel effortless. Like for me right now, like for me, showing up on my stories is effortless. And it might be something really simple, but for me, I'm like, I'm just going to show up every day. But I know that eventually that is going to lead into something. I might have to do it every day for 5 years until I get to director. I might have to do that every single day, but I'm not going to lose momentum again. Well, I might, just because of like life or whatever, but I know myself. I've become so hyper aware of myself that I'm like, okay, I know what's going to stop me. I know what's going to progress, like stop me from progressing, of moving forward. Okay. So if momentum is not compounded, you will lose it. That's what I talk about, the compounding of the actions. That's what leads to momentum. This is like the timeline of like what happens in your business. You first start, you suck. You don't know anything about business. You don't know anything about the products. You just jumped in because you thought it was like, you know, great. And I'll just alert Eliza in. You know absolutely nothing about network marketing. You don't know anything about that. You suck. You start talking to people. That's your second thing. You start talking to people. You start reaching out. You get better. You start getting better at things. You start getting better at showing up. You start getting better at talking to people, doing more lives. You get more experienced. Obviously your experience grows, your confidence grows, your skill set rises, the percentage of your work starts to get better. So this is something that I have noticed in my business as well. And what happens is when you start getting to a point, which is where we have these high expectations of ourselves, is we get to a point where we're like, okay, we're good, this is happening. And some of this hasn't happened for you, like for some of you yet, but it will eventually. You're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm getting better, I'm getting more confident, this and that. And then your work ethic drops. That was me, 100%. I got a little bit too high. I got on my high horse And I was a bit like, okay, this is fine, I can do this. And my work ethic dropped. I stopped doing follow-ups. I stopped showing up every day. I stopped, like, all these little things that made my business work so well. I stopped doing them because I got a big ego and my work ethic dropped. So confidence is built through repetition. It does not come, it is practiced. So continuously be doing the stuff that is building your confidence. It is built through repetition. Like, people who come to me and go, I can't do what you do, I don't have confidence. I'm like, do you think that I just showed up one day on Instagram and had confidence? No, it's built through repetition. It's built through talking to people. It's built through, like, role play with your husband. Like, have a conversation with that person and be like, okay, what other question could I ask here? How, like, pretend to be someone that I just, like, met at coffee. Like, practice. Like, you can only get better the more times that you do it. Confidence is something that, like, you set yourself a really, really tiny little goal, you then do it, and then you get better at it. It's like a tiny little fear. You just do it, and then you're better at it. And then you're like, I can do this again. And I can do it again and again and again. And it's repetition. And that's the only way that you get more confident and you get better at what you do. It's only practicing. If you're not getting better at being more confident, you still feel like you can't show up on your social media or anything like that, you just haven't practiced enough. You just haven't done it enough. Anyway, when you're in a valley, when you are in a low month, you're having a bad month, life, all that sort of thing, something good is about to happen. The quicker that you can get out of that valley, the quicker you can get into action, the quicker you get results, and then the quicker you get through the valley. It's like a cycle. So I'll read it again. When you're in a valley, whatever that is, you know that something good is about to happen. This happens in everything in life. Like, when we're presented with a challenge, we know that we are being built for something more. We know that something is about to happen in our lives, that maybe it's a challenge, maybe it's a win, maybe it's a victory, anything like that. We know that we are about to level up in some way, shape, or form. The quicker you identify and get out of that valley, the quicker you can get into action. The quicker you get into action, the quicker you get results, and the quicker then you move through that valley. So it's all about identifying. I know that I'm about to move through this. Let's just put in some actions. Let's move through this and let's get out of that valley faster. A lot of the time it's a personal thing. It's like, okay, I know what I'm feeling right now. I know that I'm in a bad mind frame, that sort of thing. Let's just keep moving past that. Let's just put some things into action and get out of that valley. Okay. This is something big. So every objection that we get from a customer or a market partner prospect, by the way, guys, if you're too tired and you want to leave, that's totally fine. I'm recording all of this anyway, so you can, like, jump back on later and watch it. Every objection that we get from a customer or prospect towards the end of a conversation is a lack of what we presented or lack of belief in the presentation. So when you get someone who is like, I don't have the money, sorry, it's just not for me. What you get at the end of that, the objection that you get at the end of that conversation, is a lack of what we have presented to them or a lack of belief in what we have presented. So this is something that we have to have self-reflection on. And we'll talk about that in terms of, like, if you guys are struggling in your conversations and feel like it's just not translating, let's go through that together. But you have to see it as, okay, how have I not built value here? What have I done that I maybe didn't build the belief in them? Maybe I didn't maybe when I was talking about the business through my voice notes, maybe I didn't feel like I believed it. Like, maybe I didn't actually, it came across like I believed it. Or maybe I don't believe, maybe I'm going through a really bad transition and the products are like, I'm not really sure about them. And so maybe that's coming across a little bit, like, we have to look at what we're doing at the end of the conversation. If somebody is coming back with, like, well, I don't have the money, I personally don't get it that often, because the conversations that I do have are usually turn into, I don't have the money right now, or something like that. And then I'll say, would you like me to follow up with you in 2 weeks? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then in that 2 weeks, I follow up with them. And they usually end up, because I know that I'm showing value. We're showing value through our stories. We're showing value through what we're saying, the belief in the business, the belief in the products, all that sort of thing. It's not how you deal with the objection. It's why am I getting the objection? It's not, let's not like get to the end and be like, okay, how do I deal with this? You have to ask yourself, why do I keep getting this pushback? Like, have a look at your conversations. What are people saying to you and what's the most common? Why am I getting that? What can I look at what I was doing? What am I saying and stuff? What can I add in? Or maybe what can I like change a little bit about what I'm saying? Or maybe it's in the tone of my voice or whatever that is. The better that you get at presenting, the less objections you get towards the end of a conversation. Like what I said, you are constantly practice, constantly talk to your partner, talk to your friend, like literally just say, hey, can I practice on you? Someone in the business, be like, hey, can I practice doing this or do that? The better that you get at presenting, the less objections you are going to get. You can talk to people, but where are your branding? Okay. I'll kind of wrap up here, but in terms of like, we can talk to a million people, we can talk to heaps of people, but we also have to look at what we're doing online. We have to look at our branding. If somebody comes onto our Instagram and we have been raving about this product and we haven't posted for like 7 days, and they go onto our stories, there's nothing there about what we do or what we're so passionate about, like someone's just going to go, oh, what, like that's it's not cohesive to what the story that you're telling. You have to actually be like, this is something that I'm passionate about. These are the products that I use. You have to be on your stories. You have to be showing, you have to be posting about this business. Like when people say to me, and like you guys will get this as well, when you are a leader and you're running a team and people say to you, oh, there's nothing happening in my business. I'm talking to all these people. And then I go and look at your Instagram. There's absolutely nothing on your stories about about the products or about you talking about your why or sharing anything about the business. I'm like, I hate to break it to you, but you're not branding very well. Like you are not being your own brand. You are not branding what you're doing. You are not actually like showing people why you love this business so much. You like, there are a lot of people doing Monat now, and there are a lot of people that will probably see the product. There will be a lot of people that won't, but at the same time, if you're talking to someone and you're having all these conversations, so you got 10 conversations going about Monat and what you love about it and all that sort of thing, but you haven't posted a story for 3 days. Well, you've posted stories, but nothing about it has been on Monat. Or you go on your page and you actually haven't posted anything on your actual feed. Like that's your business. Like this isn't your personal, page for family and friends anymore. This is your business. If you're talking to people about why you love this business so much, then what is proving that to them? Just what you say. You actually need to have your own personal brand, and you need to show people that you are actually loving these products. Like most of you are pretty good, but this is for like, we need to have like a little bit of Sam, a little bit of, be accountable and be like, even if that's just posting someone else's story, like it can literally be sharing the business. It could be sharing the products. It could be sharing someone else's success story, whatever it is. You need to be consistent. I don't know how many times I say this to people. The only reason that people are successful in this business is because they're consistent and they're having enough conversations. Eliza, do you know anyone that started a new account to help with the algorithm and target market? I do know people. I only know very, very, very select people about who have made it and done it like successfully. I know people that have started, lots of people that have started a new account and absolutely failed because, number one, if you start a new account, you're doing it in terms of like, you have to be very, very intentional about the fact that you are building a whole new following, and it's not just for Monat. You have to be very intentional. And that personally is a lot more work. Like, I think that that's a lot more work to create a whole nother account as well. And I see women do this all the time. They create another account because they want it to be their business account. And then it's all Monat hair, like all that sort of thing. If that was me and I look at that, I'd be like, oh, like, I don't want to follow that. Like, I don't, like you've already got the people, if you're starting with, even if you have 200 followers, like you have 200 people that you're talking to. And if you don't want, maybe it's something to do with, like you don't want to show your kids or something like that on Instagram. I totally understand that. I would just archive a whole lot of like your stuff. But if you are going to start a new account, I would say it's going to be a lot more hard work, because you are, number one, building following, you're number two, like building a whole new brand. It's easier to just work on your personal Instagram now that you've already got. Maybe lose a couple of followers because you're posting about Monat, but you're already speaking to so many people with what you've already got. You've got such an amazing business tool already, and figuring out the algorithm on your already existing Instagram is a lot easier than starting a new one and figuring out that as well. That's it. I do have one more thing, but it'll take a little bit too long. So I just wanted to kind of touch on a little bit of that. Now, and I know it's really late, I'm super sorry. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I have talked about or written down, or have anything to say? If not, then that's fine too, and I'll let you all go to bed. In terms of, if you are struggling with your conversations, if you're like, yep, I'm posting every day, yes, well, you can come to me if you're not posting every day. But if you are posting every day, you're having conversations, all that sort of thing, and something's just not landing, and you're finding like, okay, I've talked to like 5 people this week and it's just not flowing, it's just not going, no one's saying yes, I've been reaching out, doing all that sort of thing, message me and let's talk about, let's go through with a fine-tooth comb your conversations. I'll tell you what to stop. I'll tell you if you're being a little bit too cringy. I will tell you if you're like, like not writing enough questions, that sort of thing. I'll help you like work through all that stuff. So just message me. And then also, if you are feeling like you have a couple of like mental blocks about showing up, about anything, and you're like, okay, I know that something's holding me back, I just don't know what it is, let's have a call. Let's like work through it and suss it out. And yeah, because I love doing that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, I know everyone's probably tired,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to ask about when you mentioned tonality and having to show up every day. So like obviously, like for example, this last week, like I have been very flat and I wanted to still show up, but I feel like that still it's coming across that I'm not my 100% self. What would you recommend in those times? Because it's important to show up, but then also not 100% feeling yourself, not so much because of the business, but just because of life. That makes
I would
sense.
say you have to find that fine line of being vulnerable and showing up in a way that doesn't inspire people. So you can, in terms of like, say like you're having a really flat day. Like for me, pre-recorded content, you can show up if you've had anything, like a lot of the time I will actually repost, like I'll scroll all the way down and just repost something else of mine. Pre-recorded content, post someone else's thing. And there's nothing wrong with actually showing up and being like, don't make it like a whole day and don't jump on live and, like all that sort of thing, but just show up. And like for me today, I wasn't feeling down, but I was like super tired, I'm this, I'm that, and blah, blah, blah. It's important for people to see that you can still show up in your business, even though you're feeling, a little bit run down or a little bit things like that. But make sure that through that, you are still inspiring people. Yeah. Repost archive stories where you're talking about the products and the business. That's also another good one. There's so many different things that you can do. And yeah, just know that fine line of like, okay, am I inspiring? I can still be real and I can still inspire people. I can still have a hard day and I can still show up for my business. But I've got to make sure that that's not, bringing anyone down. And don't do it on days on end. Like just keep posting other people's stuff. Like if you are having like a really shit week, like still still show up for your business, but you don't have to put your face on there every single day, you know, just work it how feels like authentic to you. And that's just, you know, a bit of self-awareness as well. You don't want to be jumping on there and being like a blubbering mess and that sort of thing. But yeah, cool. And thank you, Sarah. I'm always vulnerable, sometimes way too vulnerable, but yeah. Okay, well, I will love you and leave you all. I'm so freaking tired. I didn't expect to go for this long, but obviously you can sense that I'm so passionate about this business. So yeah, just remember that, come back to your why, feel into that. And I think you're all amazing. And I want to actually just acknowledge all of you for staying here and showing up. Like, this in itself is showing up for your business and committing to yourself. And I'm just, yeah, really, really appreciative of every single one of you. Thanks, babe. Okay, love you all. Have a good night.
The girls.
Yeah, the girls. Bye.